So we have understood the polymorphism concept and how does the four typical examples, which includes method overloading, method overriding, operator overloading and duck typing philosophy are implemented in Python, because based on that only we are able to say that Python is also exhibiting polymorphism, right? So now let's discuss one special case where I'll try to revise the simple concept of objects and classes, and we'll go for a very important concept which is related to abstract method, where we use the concept of abstract classes, because generally we have seen about class methods and static methods, right? When you go for static methods, we generally need static methods when the processing is only at the class level, but we need not involve any class or instances. That is static method. When you go for class method, those are the methods act only on the class level, and we use a decorator at the rate class method. The same way, there is some special thing for abstract method. For that, I'll just take an example and I'll make it related. So I'll just keep this everything in comment, because generally if you relate, what do you mean by, because we already know that class is a model for creating object. That is nothing but class is a blueprint for object. When I say object, it can be attributes or actions. When I say attribute, that can be variable. When I say action, that can be method. That means when objects are created to a class, the objects also get the variables and actions mentioned in the class. The simple rule is that anything that is written to the class, it is applicable to all of its objects. How many number of objects you create, that is that many number of action can be performed with this multiple object. The same action is performed, because you know that class is a blueprint for object, for creating objects or instances. When you create multiple methods and multiple attributes, they perform the same thing depending on the object you have initialized. So for that, I try to write a Python program to understand. So Python program to understand my class method is shared by all of its objects. My class method is shared by all of its objects. My class method shared by all of its objects, because that's the property we are already using it, but I want to make sure my method perform multiple operations. I'll go for a next concept which I'll reveal it later, multiple of all of its objects. So for that reason, what do I do is I declare my class name as my class. It's simple. I declare my class name as my class and I declare the doc string as a class with a method. It's a very simple name, a class with a method. Then you can easily understand what we are trying to refer. So here I define a simple method. I'm not writing any constructor or any class method. I am writing this thing as define calculate of, so self comma x. So this is my action I'm trying to perform, that is nothing but my object. So I just define print. So what do I define? I just want it, whatever value I pass into it depending on my logic. So I wanted to calculate the area of square, or square value is something like square value is equal to, you just try to define comma, you gave the logic x into x, right? So now what happens when you initialize any object, for everything calculate method is only shared, right? So for the first time you gave a is equal to my class, right? And you should pass some input right here. If you don't pass, you need not pass any input here. Sorry for that. You need to pass input for calculate method. So you save, you execute, you go for directory of a, you need to pass input for calculate method, because you see when you go for calculate method and when you execute it, it is missing one required positional argument, that you already know it. So when you go for calculate of, 5, you get 5 into 5, 25. That is square value. That is simple. You have created first object. Now I create one more object, that is second object. My second object is another thing which is b. So I just go for b is equal to my class and I execute this. And when I go for directory of b, the same method is available, right? You go for b dot calculate, you give b dot calculate of 25, you get 25 into 25, the same operation, right? That's what I'm trying to refer. Even you create one more method, the same thing, that is third object. Your third object also does the same operation, that is c is equal to my class, because you are having the same method. The same method is doing the same operation. You go for directory of c, Sir, what you're trying to tell? I'll explain it very simple, because when you go for c dot calculate of, if you give a string here, what happens? Can't multiply by non-type because you gave star over there, right? So because you cannot multiply two strings, right? How do you do that? So you can clearly observe here how many number of objects you are passing. The same method is used everywhere, right? Because whenever we create in the class, the rule is that anything written in the class is applicable to all objects. That is clear rule. Anything is written in the class, it is applicable to all of its objects. Is applicable to all of its objects. But my mind says I should do in a different way. That means if I pass same input, first time it should perform square, it should perform cube, it should perform area. In that way, it should perform different things. But for that, we need to go for some special methods. Special methods in the sense we need to dig in detail of making sure we use a special thing or another method which is called as abstract method, because generally an abstract method is a method whose action is redefined in the subclasses. You are redefining the action of the method. That means you are changing the action of it. That means for the first time, your calculate method will perform one operation which includes the square of x, that is 4 into 4. Then next time it performs square root of x, that is root 4, that should give 2. The third time it will give you cube. So in that way we can make it happen. That is only possible with abstract method. So let me just keep it comment. This is very special kind of method in Python. Don't relate that thing to static or class method. It is very much different, because when you go for abstract method, AB, because what do you mean by abstract? When you prepare a documentation, abstract is a short description of what you try to do it, right? Yes, in the same way here, abstract method is a method where whose action is redefined, whose action is redefined in the subclass, whose action is redefined in the subclass. Whatever the objects you initialize, depending upon it, it will be performed in the subclasses as per requirement of the objects. That is very, very important. That's how it happens in the real cases. That is the reason abstract methods play a very vital role, because even it is one of the special case of polymorphism. That is the reason I wanted to discuss in detail once we finish those concepts. So generally, abstract methods are written without body, since their body will be defined in the subclasses. So to mark a method as an abstract method, how do you define it? You use @abstract method. You use this notation, and how do you call this? You need to initialize this from a separate module. So for that reason, you just need to import ABC. So for that reason, you just need to import ABC, and from ABC, you just import ABC class, because ABC stands for abstract base classes. So generally, abstract method is simple. It is a method whose action is redefined in the subclasses as per the requirement of the objects. So that is the reason. On the other hand, it is basically a concrete method is a method with the body. That is generally what we have defined till now. But abstract method is basically where we redefine our action, because it is a class that generally, when I go for abstract class, it is a class generally where it contains some abstract methods. It contains some abstract methods. We can make multiple methods as abstract, but it depends only on the kind of logic we are writing. It contains multiple abstract methods. So how do I import it? I made it very simple, right? You just made it to available from the abstract base classes. So I'll just execute it from shell and I'll explain it. So for that reason, I just import ABC. ABC stands for abstract base classes, that is already present in a module which is built in. We are not defining it, right? So it is present within the abstract base class module, where if you go for directory of ABC, there you go. You see ABC class. So ABC, where capital ABC is basically where you take it from the ABC module, which is nothing but abstract base class module. So to create an abstract class, we need to derive it from the class ABC present in the ABC module, and you can see that as abstract method. Right? Now let's try to use it and we'll try to make it understand how to use it. Something like you can give in this way. from ABC, because from ABC, that is a module, you import capital ABC class, right? And you also take, what is the method? You take the method as abstract method. So this is the syntax we can write. You can note this as a syntax, and or you can also do it if you wanted to make multiple methods. What do? You just import from ABC, you take it as star. That's what we already know it, right? Yes. So in the same way, we'll take an example where we try to create an abstract class and subclasses which implement the abstract method of abstract class. That is my task. I would like to write a Python program where I want to create an abstract class, because in the above example, my calculate method is performing same operation. It is multiplying every time. But now I'll write the same calculate method to perform square of it, to get the square root of it, and to get the cube value. It depends on our interest, right? That's where we are redefining the action of it. To create abstract class and subclasses which implement the abstract method, which implement the abstract method of abstract class. Make it very simple, don't get confused. If you want to use abstract method, you need to use it from the ABC module. Capital ABC stands for ABC class, and ABC, what do you mean by ABC? ABC refers to abstract base class, because ABC stands for abstract base class. Even if you forget it, I am writing it here, abstract base class. So from that only you take capital ABC class and you just invoke the method. So we just try to implement abstract methods of abstract class. Now let's keep on writing the program. We'll just include the same logic and we'll try to make our calculate method as abstract. So first you import from ABC, you import capital ABC, and you want to use abstract method, right? You just declare it, or you can use star method, but preferring star is not should be done. It should not be done, because when you import star, you take all the methods and memory becomes wasted over there. So you just need what do you want. So here I am taking only ABC class and abstract method, and I declare, say, my class name. So my class of, I am taking the object as ABC. So that's where we make some change here, and we are giving demo for abstract method. So that is my doc string. Just concentrate on it, it will be very much easier. So now I use my @decorator, because if I want to use a method as abstract method, I should use it as abstract method decorator. So @abstract method, then only it will be treated. Because how does this can be done? It can be done only when you call from ABC module. So @abstract method, and you define your method. What is the method? It is calculate. So define calculate of, just pass your reference and your object, and then I just make it empty because I don't want to perform any operation here. I create a subclass and I just use this method. So that's what I wanted to use. So I just keep it pass, and now I create one more class because I just wanted to keep multiple classes. So I just make it as, this is subclass. This is subclass of my class. So I just name it as class of sub1. So that is sub1 of, what you need to do it, you are trying to inherit the properties. So this is inheritance again. So now you define the same method. The method name is calculate. So define calculate of, we are trying to make sure that the same calculate method in the abstract class, it should be implemented differently, because this is basically called as abstract class. So define calculate of, again self comma x. So for the first time, what you wanted to get, you wanted to get the square value, not square root. When you go for square value, what does that mean? You want to have the number twice. That is 2 into 2, that is 2 square, 3 square, in that way. So the logic is x into x. That is for the first case. Now define one more class. So I'll make the comment. So this is another class where I just make sure another subclass, because we are clearly giving here the importance of single inheritance, because our parent class is abstract class my class, another class for my class. We can do it, right? So that is the reason I just make it as class sub2 to make it very simple. So in this case, I want to get the square root of it. So for square root, what you need to do? Just import math module. From math module, you can take square root function, right? So for that reason, I just define class sub2 of my class. Now just execute this. Define the same method. The method name is calculate and perform the operation here. Self comma x and give print. In print, you mention the area of square, that is square root value. So square value is different, square root is different. You already know that point, right? So square root is equal to, how do you calculate it? You just give math dot square root of x, or else you can perform x double star of 0.5. In that way also you can do. That is second subclass. I'll define my third subclass. So we can have multiple derived classes, only one base class. Third subclass. So that third subclass, we need to get the cube of it, right? So I'll just define class sub3 of my class. And now what I do is I just pass again the same method, where we want to make sure that even the same method is used. It's a concept of method overriding, where we try to implement multiple operations, right? So in that way, I'm trying to make it done. So self comma x, and I want to get the cube value, that is print cube value. This time I want to get the cube value. How do I get it? I just give x into x into x, or x double star 3, because you know that logic, right? Even you can use power function, power of x comma 3, you get the same result. Now what do I do is I create individual subclasses, individual objects for subclass 1 object. So you just define create sub1 class object and pass the method and call calculate method. So it should perform only, if I give 5, it should give me 5 into 5, 25, and call calculate method. So for that reason, I just define, I give a is equal to sub1 and I'm passing a. First I'll just execute this and let me check the directory. So directory of a, there you go. This is abstract method, that's a under abstract, and ABC implementation, and the method is calculate. So you just refer a dot, when you go for a dot calculate, it should give you, when you pass input, it should give you the square value. Very good, it's a dot square value. Now create subclass 2 object, that is sub2 class object, and again pass, that is b is equal to sub2, and get the directory of it, sorry, sub2 of, and get the directory of it. Just execute dir of b. You can see the difference when you go for dir of b, again you get same calculate method. So this time what is your sub2 class is having, it is trying to get the square root of it, right? So when you give 5, you should get the square root of it. There you go, you see, you got the square root now. That's how your abstract method is working here. So clearly you are passing multiple objects here, and for each object your same method is performing different task. That's where you can clearly understand. Now you define c is equal to sub3 and again pass the calculate method. You just refer directory of c and you see same calculate method over there. So here you should get the cube of it. When you give c dot calculate of 5, you should get as 125. So cube value, square value, and here square root n and square value. So in that way your calculate method is performing different action every time when it is being executed, right? The same calculate method written only in the abstract class. So if you don't use this, what happens, you see. Now when you execute this, okay, so first get the directory of c, anything. So I'll just give c dot, let me go for c dot calculate of 2. Okay, you got 2 cube, very good. Then go for b dot, because already you have defined the object, right? So b dot calculate of 2, what you are getting, square root, very good, because 2 square, right? So square root of 2 is 1 point, and just go for a dot, because for a you should get 2 into 2, right? So a dot 2, see, square values, cube, everything, right? Because you have already imported ABC, right? That's the reason if you declare the special method decorator, you're already taking ABC class here. It is already being imported and you can easily access the same subclass, the same method, because it is inheriting the property. The same calculate method is performing differently in the three subclasses and it is able to perform different tasks. Since the same method is performing various tasks, this is also come under polymorphism. So that is the reason abstract method plays a very vital role, because simple, whenever we say abstract method, it is a method whose action is only defined in the subclass. Here my action is square root, here it is finding cube, here it is finding the square value. That is the reason I have taken from ABC import abstract base class and abstract method. So you declare @abstract method decorator and the color is not changed over there. That is where this property plays a very vital role, and this also comes under polymorphism. So make it very simple. If you wanted to make the same method multiple different perform different operations when you create multiple objects, make sure you use it as a abstract method. So we have understood the difference between object creation and object initialization, along with importance of underscores and dunders in Python. We have also understood the differences between instance method, class method and static method, as we have also seen different types of inheritance along with their importance, as it will increase the organization's productivity. Make sure you keep practicing. Never hesitate to raise queries in discussion section. I'll be there to guide you. Thank you.